trying to picture what car goes with that. I reckon a Tirana. Or a Cortina.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Solar Sidekicks. My name is Pat Southwell. We are here to record episode 12 today of Solar Sidekicks, and we are here at Roydor Reserve in Carrum. This is done with Radio Carrum community radio station, and we're in the studio at Roydor Reserve, and we have a cold winter's day in Melbourne today. All right, first of all, I want to acknowledge the traditional landowners of where we're recording this today, and that's the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. A little bit of a recap on last week's episode with Carolina Bianatska. Thanks so much again to Carolina for coming in. I learned so much in the session with you last week, so really appreciate you coming in. And I've been actually practicing a lot of the breath work that I learnt about with you, and to be honest, it's changed my life for the last week or so, for the better. So thanks very much for coming in. I think the last time we had the episode delayed a little bit, I made an apology because there was some issues with editing or whatever. This one's taking a little while to come out as well, but I'm just not going to apologise for it anymore. It is what it is. The episodes come out when they come out, and everyone will end up hearing them anyway. But yeah, thanks again to Carolina for everything you did last week, all the sessions, all the little gifts you gave me as well. So very much appreciated. Thank you. So today's guest coming into the studio. Let's see how many introductions we need for Bobbi. I don't think it's too many. So Bobbi McKibbin, thank you so much for joining us at Radio Carrum. Welcome.
No worries, Pat. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you so much. So you were already down in Melbourne for an event last night, I think. So bit of an opportunist I am. Thought I'd grab you for a podcast. So thanks for making it down here.
No worries.
How's your journey this morning down to Carrum?
Yeah, beautiful. Came out from Richmond this morning. So a few highways and stuff. It was great. Yeah. It was interesting because saw solar farm. I got excited about that. I'm like, oh, look.
Where was that? Oh, down at Carrum Downs, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just before Patterson Lakes.
Yeah, near the Melbourne Water. I think that runs the treatment plant.
Ah, okay, because I noticed it wasn't huge like we've got up on the Hume Highway near home.
Oh, it's nothing like that. No.
And people complain about that. And I'm like, wow, look, I only got a brief glimpse of this one. I'm like, see, shrubs do grow. You don't necessarily have to see them beside the road.
Great stuff.
But the other thing I was going to throw in there as well, Patterson Lakes, the home of blue heelers.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So Blue Heelers was taped out here somewhere because I had a friend who was
an
extra on it, and she had to come out to Patterson Lakes.
Blue Heelers? Really? I used to watch that.
I did.
Oh, didn't you? I remember watching that as a kid.
Yeah, not my show.
Sergeant, what was it? Sergeant Tom Croydon.
Oh.
Tom Croydon,
yes.
It was. Yeah, and Maggie Doyle. There you go. How's that? I remember that. There you go. Lisa McCune.
Yes,
that's right.
It was.
I remember that. I used to watch that like every Tuesday night or whatever it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, well, I've just learned something. All right, good stuff. Well, anyone in the industry who hasn't heard of Bobbi, I don't think there's anyone left. So who hasn't heard of you. So Bobbi, let's go into I want to talk about a lot of things with you today. Not sure exactly where it's all going to go because normally I've got a really good run sheet done and everything. Known you for a few years. We don't need that.
I think I distracted you with breakfast this morning too. Caught you off your game.
A little bit. Yeah, we did. We thanks to the people at 38 South in Seaford, put on a nice breakfast. It's good, wasn't it? Yeah. It was really, really good. Really nice to do that. So let's do a little bit of an introduction with you, Bobbi. First of all, like you're not from Carrum, even though you're on Carrum Radio here. You're not from Carrum. You're from a place which is a bit more north. So whereabouts are you from exactly?
So I'm from Wodonga, Albury Wodonga, so on the Vic, New South Wales border. But I'm actually born and bred effectively a Yakandanda girl, which is about 20 minutes out of Albury Wodonga. Yep. And that's sort of still home. Yeah. Got family and friends and everybody's still there. So we do an awful lot of work out there. It's been fabulous.
Still do lots of work out there.
Yeah, love it. It's like going home. But so was coming to Richmond last night as well because Richmond's always sort of been my home away from home.
Oh, really? Have you got friends? Did you have friends in Richmond or something like that?
My uncle lived in Richmond, so I spent a lot of time there. And I just love the, sort of the inner suburbs. Yeah. I don't know. it's just great. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, for sure. Nice, very, very good. Oh well, so you run a solar and battery business up around Albury-Wodonga area. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm a partner in Solar Integrity. There's three of us that own it. There's myself, Brett, and Luke.
Yep.
Luke was our first ever apprentice in our previous business that we had with other partners.
Yes.
And then he came into this one, so which is fabulous. But we do, solar, batteries, standalone, heat pumps, and we've always done heat pumps. We're not new to them.
Yep.
Or sorry, we've always done hot water. We're not we're not new to hot water. We understand that the role it plays in our energy transition and always have seen it as complementary. And of course, now we're doing EV chargers and stuff as well. So, we're doing the whole conglomerate.
Right in amongst the whole electrification of the home and other places. You're probably doing some offices as well too, I suppose. Are you doing them yet?
We do small businesses.
Small businesses, yeah.
We do a lot with small business as well, which is great. We haven't gone into the industrial space. We don't need to. It's too competitive. We're not interested in that space. Yep. We like to concentrate on what we're doing and doing it well.
Yeah. You guys are well positioned up there. Like it's, so much sun up there. Compared to here.
Although I reckon, this time of year it's fairly foggy, but Albury is foggier than Wodonga. It's really quite interesting. Right? And of course, Albury's where they build the airport.
There you go.
So in the depths of winter, if you're on that first plane out, don't expect to leave on time.
What's that? What's that with? Is that something to do with the mountains there or something?
It's just the fog along the river.
Oh, the river.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it's the river that. Is the cause. So.
Okay, cool. Well, I've just spent the best part of this week, not quite exactly where you are, but up north towards the Murray, and I was doing a solar farm in Numurkah, and that was one of the coldest mornings I think last Wednesday. 2 days ago on Wednesday, -4, but you get beautiful sunshining days up there. And that's the same for Albury-Wodonga, isn't it? Even in the middle of winter, you do get, even though it's cold in the morning, it clears up and you do get the nice bright sunshiny days.
We've had no cloud cover. That's been the issue the last few weeks. So it's been absolutely bitterly cold. And that Wednesday, I remember sitting at work going, oh my God, is this the coldest morning ever? And that's seriously what I was thinking. I was trying to work out when I'd had another colder morning.
Yeah.
But there's just no cloud cover to give you that protection. So, you absolutely feel it. But the days, beautiful,
amazing,
clear, blue, sunny days, it's just been beautiful.
Until about 4 o'clock and then it starts getting freezing again.
That's it.
All right, cool. Good stuff. So let's, look, we want to drill into a few of these different things, but I want to give everyone a bit of a broad overview. You're doing so much in the business, in the industry. There's so many things that you're involved in. You're very engaged at a government level, at a consultation with other industry groups and that sort of stuff. What do we need a list? Do we tick them off as we go? How many are there? Well, all right, I'll mention the first one. The one I sort of probably know that you've been around doing for a long time is the ICRG group in Solar Vic. So you've been part of that for how long is that now? That's
I think 4 years that's been going.
Yeah.
Which has just been fabulous. So I was one of the first on the group.
Yep.
We were only meant to have a 3-year tenure, and last year I gave my big farewell speech, expecting not to get back on because they had extended it already. Last year at our last meeting, I gave my big farewell speech and said, I've ticked off these things and blah, blah, blah. It was really quite funny. Everybody was laughing. And lo and behold, I'm back there again this year. So
how'd that come about?
I felt a bit like John Farnham or something on his farewell tour that just keeps coming back.
Yeah. How did that come about? Like, have they got, I don't know, they got rules written in, or what? Did they make an exception for you? What was it that? Well, they just...
Well, I don't know if somebody might have not taken up their position, their offering, or what happened there, but there ended up being a space.
Perfect.
I ended up being asked to come back.
Well, we want good people in those positions, so that's
which
always...
there are. There's some amazing people on that committee, which is fabulous.
Yeah, you're all really engaged, and the thing I've noticed about the people on that group, they all really care about the industry, and they're not like really... I mean, they're not self-indulgent or... just thinking about themselves. They're not trying to push their own agendas.
It's not ego.
No, it's not ego. So they're probably pushing their agenda, but it's coming from a place of heart where they want things to improve the industry, and so that they see these issues themselves, and they think if these things get better, the industry will get better. So yeah, it sounds like a really good group to be part of. And then you've got Solar Vic who've been listening, and they actually do the work to make the changes.
Yeah.
And
it's funny, like, we all know in Victoria that when Solar Vic started, things were absolutely not perfect, as usual with these government things.
Yep.
They don't necessarily consult industry early. They don't understand what their decisions or how they will impact on industry.
Yeah.
And through those mistakes, the ICRG was born. And we know that from being on that committee, we've had huge impact about making positive change into the industry, not just for short term, but for the long term.
Yep.
So we've gained a lot out of it from Solar Vic, but Solar Vic have gained enormous benefit out of having that direct connection to industry to make their program better. And I think it really should be the benchmark that all levels of government look at and consider and take on in any decisions that they make that impact community or industry.
So that's how I see it too. And it would be great if some of the other governments would sort of see that lead that Solar Vic have taken. I think, I'm getting to like the New South Wales battery rebate, and I think there's been a bit of stuff happening with the consultation this week. I saw an email with the Smart Energy Council. Yep. So that's hopefully, I don't know if that was initiated by them or by the New South Wales government or whatever it is, but it would be great if New South Wales government, especially at the moment, still the hot topic with the battery rebate, if they would sort of consult at the level that Solar Vic did.
Hopefully they will, but the Smart Energy Council are certainly pushing very hard, which is fabulous having an organisation like that in our corner.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I saw a thing on my social media last night. John Grimes. Did you see there was a video of John Grimes on Sky News? Did you see that?
No.
Oh yeah, watch it. He was so good. He was so good. Oh yeah, he was brilliant for our industry.
What was he talking
about? Nuclear.
I was going to say, was it nuclear? Yes.
Yeah, nuclear. So I can't remember. I don't know who the people are on Sky News. What have they got? Like Paul Murray and whoever these.
Peter Credlin.
Peter Credlin. Yeah. Peter Credlin. Yeah. No, what's the other one? Andrew Bolt. Oh my God. Sorry.
The funny thing is, I actually did a story on our local news up home this week about nuclear because they asked me for comments. I got trolled.
Oh, really?
I got trolled.
Oh, horrible.
And not just once, but it was by the same person. It's like, so now that's something I've got to deal with when I get home too. It's like, oh my God.
Oh, it's horrible. Well, anyway, so it was all about that. And he was, I'm definitely proud to be in an industry that's got John sort of leading the way with that sort of stuff. Because this guy, whoever the interviewer was, how they were sort of trying to go for their diplomatic kind of interview as they would, as a news reporter do. He's trying to push an agenda, but he's trying to sort of trap John into all these questions, asking about where else in the world has got, renewables and doesn't rely on nuclear and all this sort of stuff. And straight away off the bat, he's like, John's like Costa Rica.
I was going to say, he just reamed through the list.
Yeah, he just went through it and he's looking about, have you ever been to Tasmania? Have you ever been to the ACT? SA has got like 80% renewables a lot of the time and we're only still building and it's only going to get more and more. Anyway, he shot this person down really, really well to the point where the interviewer was like, I've got nothing for you, mate. Like, I don't know.
I don't want to promote Sky News, but it'd be great if we perhaps share that link so
I'll find
everybody can watch it because that'd be fabulous.
Yeah, I will find that. I don't know if it was actually a link because I think someone was recording their TV screen. So I'm going to find that. If I find that link, I'm going to put it on the socials for Solar Sidekicks because it was great. Really good. So well done, John Grimes. Done really well there. So that was good. So anyway, where were we? We've gone. We've digressed a little bit there. We're talking about ICG and ICRG. ICRG. Sorry, with Solar Vic and their consultation. So they've been quite good. And just to call out to the other governments. Hopefully you can look at Solar Vic's lead and take something from that. That would be good. So what else? So we've covered Solar Vic. Everyone knows you're involved with them and you're doing a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll just reel them off to you and you can tell me about them. All right? Because I know what you do.
No, we've known each other a while.
Yeah, we have. All right. Probably the one that's closest to your heart, I think, would be a Wise. So I want to talk about them in a bit more detail throughout the episode. A Wise. You want to tell me a little bit about a Wise and what you do there, but don't give everyone too much. Just a little bit of a teaser because I want to dig into some stuff later on.
Yeah, okay. So a Wise was basically our COVID project. So it was becoming apparent that there was a space required for women to connect and create a community that we felt supported and that we had a voice in. So, and around that time it was through lockdowns and everything. So there was a high level of stress on our day-to-day lives, but also within the industry as well, and everybody's industry because we're all in lockdown. But there was also some toxicity occurring and women didn't feel as though they were confident enough to put their hand up and, you know, make comment or have something to say in some spheres of the industry. So that was quite concerning. No, do you want me to tell you a really funny story?
I would love to hear a funny story.
That sort of goes into this. So back in the day, the CEC had their installer reference group.
Yes, which you were part of and I was chair of. That was it.
Yeah. So anyway, I was approached and said, Bobbi, I think you'd be great. And I think you should throw your hat into the ring. And I'm like, well, I'm not an installer. And it's like, no, that's okay. You've got so much to bring, all your experience, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I thought, all right, I'll throw my hat in the ring and have a crack. And lo and behold, I was successful. Anyway, on the Friday evening, the list came out on social media to say who was in that ICRG. And if
IRG or ICRG?
Oh, sorry, in the installer reference group, in the IRG.
In 2019,
would have
was
been
it?
2019.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, 2019, 2018.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm sitting at home this Friday night and I'm like, pops up on social media. I went, okay, this will be interesting. So I start reading the comments and, oh, my God. What are they doing in there? They're not an electrician.
I remember this.
They shouldn't be a part of this. This is meant to be for the installers. Rah, rah, rah. And just, too many Bundys under their belt. And one of the other people on there was Nigel Morris.
Yep.
Now, Nigel is one of the most knowledgeable and respected people in our whole entire industry and has been here for a very long time.
Yep.
And he obviously felt like he was under attack. And he said, well, if you don't think I have a place here, then fine, I'll step aside.
Yep.
And at that stage, I didn't really know Nigel. So I sent him a message and I'm like, for God's sake, don't you dare step back, mate. You have so much to give, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sitting there reading these comments and nobody really knew me in the industry then. I was pretty anonymous.
Yep.
And I just read it and I went, holy shit. They don't want anybody who's not an electrician in here. Yep. I'm not an electrician. I'm like, fuck. Wait until they find out I'm a chick.
And it was not that obvious as well. You've got a bit of a unisex name.
That's right.
so it's not that obvious that you're female.
I've had silence at the end of the phone when I've rung somebody. I've gone, it's Bobbi McKibbin. And they're like,
where's Bobbi? Is it real?
Maybe I should have checked your profile picture.
Yeah, for sure.
They get a shock. So anyway, there was that sort of stuff that was going on. Yeah. So this particular, that happened that Friday night. And then there were a few other things. And then, a few people that I knew and women, they were like, maybe we should get our own group. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. And then there was another Catalyst event, and I can't remember exactly what it was anymore. And it was, again, another Friday night, too many Bundys under their belts. And on the Saturday morning, I woke up and I went, nah, that's it. So I sent a message to Christine Kennedy, who I'd met in a trip to South Korea the year before, and we just, became absolute great mates.
Yep.
Sent a message to Sophie Wright, who was on the ICRG with me. I sent a message to Jack Long, because Jack and I always talked, and we were on the ICRG together at the time as well, so Jack was in there. And Jack said, you need to talk to Sam Craft. So I went, okay. So I talked to Sam, and then she brought in Keisha, and then I knew Lily Peckick from Sydney, so I brought Lily in as well. And we said, right, let's do something. And that's what we did. So we've been working ever since, basically, to create a space where women feel supported and a network where they can meet other women, because often it can be isolating. A lot of people within the industry own small businesses, so it's often, one or two or a small team. There's often only one woman, and she's doing admin, and often they can feel isolated or outnumbered or whatever the case may be. And it's like, we can do this. So let's bring together a network and build it from there. And that's what we've been doing ever since, which has been fabulous.
And it's been growing so much as well. Like all the stuff that you're all doing.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that are involved now or wanting to be involved.
Yeah.
It's a real testament to.
It's been fabulous.
Yeah.
And last night was just proof in the pudding.
That's probably something I'll ask you about a little bit later with last night, see how that sort of went. That's great. I didn't know that's how it started. That's good. It's good to know.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just a few little catalyst moments in life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I remember that. That's I think I was the one who received your application for the IRG.
You were.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was fabulous because we all felt as though we were there for a purpose and we were going somewhere and we were going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And it was great. And then you left and the wheels fell off and we cried.
Look, we could have done so. It's I suppose it's like any industry group that's like that when you get a lot of people together. And then there was times at the CEC where we weren't able to do exactly what we wanted to, and there was restraints from different things. So I think I've spoken about it on this program before. I found it really frustrating not being able to do what we wanted to do because there's other things at play, which I understand.
And that's what most people don't understand.
Yeah,
is the other things that are at play.
Yeah,
and often they are things that can't be talked about openly and stuff through commercial in confidence, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
so but there are things that we can change, and if we know what our the things that are non-negotiables, the things that we'll never change, if we know what they are, then that's fine. We can forget about them and we can move on and work on the stuff that we can change and can impact.
Well, I'll tell you one thing we did change. Like it's probably not the best thing ever, but I think it did help the industry at the time. So if it wasn't for that coming up, the agenda item about how many installs per day to do, that was actually a huge thing. So it was 3 at the time, and we discussed that at length in the IRG and basically had unanimous support. And I think someone had said that they didn't think it was a good idea for whatever reason, and they ended up turning around and saying, "Actually, maybe I do." We voted, and it got to 2, and we put that to the CER, and that was one of the things that helped change it from 3 down to 2. So it seems like a small change, but I thought that was a big thing.
I think the other one would be rooftop isolators.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that would have had some sort of effect.
Absolutely talked about that in there as well, and that would have been fed through as well. So there's a number of things, and training.
Yeah,
CPD, the changing of the point system.
Yeah, that's right. We spoke about that at length, didn't we?
Quite a lot of things that we talked about that people don't realise.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Maybe it was a success. And I suppose the thing I find most successful out of it all is the collaboration, just having people in the industry all together. And even if when we started doing it, there was that stupid conference call system where you couldn't see each other, and it's before Zoom was much of a big thing. Actually,
before
Zoom
COVID.
And actually Zoom was a thing, but I don't know, for some reason we just didn't have the infrastructure at the CEC to be able to do it. It was annoying.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we'd still all be able to discuss things at the meeting. And just getting to know people and collaborate, and then having all these other relationships off to the side. And then you see people at events and that sort of stuff, and you're like, "Oh, I've named to a face. I see you now, and I know what you're doing." And it was good. It was really good.
It was how I met so many people within the industry.
Yep.
So it was a great introduction to meeting people, and meeting people that are like-minded, that are genuine about positive change.
Yeah,
I think that's
right.
Big thing.
That was the big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the big thing. Yeah, we didn't want to select people that were just going to make it a whinge fest.
Whinge.
Well, a whinge is okay, but as long as their end goal is being productive and change.
Constructive, exactly.
Yeah, constructive. All right, cool. Well, that's good. So we've got we mentioned the IRG as well and a WISE. What about SAA?
Yeah.
What can you say about SAA?
Solar Accreditation Australia.
Yeah, a new organisation.
Yep.
You're involved in that, aren't you? You're doing some stuff.
Yeah. I got tapped on the shoulder last year, end of last year, to see if I would be interested in going on the board.
Yep.
And I thought, well, we've sat here and, belted the bejesus out of the CEC for how long? And I'm a big believer, if you want to impact change, you need to be in the machine that makes change, able to make change. And not just that, it's also understanding the machine.
Yeah.
Because on the outside, we don't understand what goes on inside.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll have a crack and throw my hat in and see what happens. And again, the board of SAA is made up of some of the most passionate people in the industry.
Yep.
And also, again, I've met people that I have not met before or have had minimal dealings with.
Yep.
That now we're all coming together with that one common goal to do better.
For sure.
It's not I'm not going to lie, it's not been an easy task, but I think if you sat down and gave it some perspective around, they were given a short lead time in how to get something from scratch. They weren't handed everything from the CEC.
Yep.
They actually had to build the system, everything from scratch.
Yep.
So they were given a very short lead time, and then there were, I think it was just around 9,000 installers that were registered with the CEC just before they finished. So I don't think people sort of understand the gravitas of how big this has ended up being, let alone building something from scratch.
Wow.
In, 6 to 8 weeks. It's pretty insane.
For sure.
And they've done an amazing job. Like, it's not been easy. Yes, there's been stuff ups, but we've,
who cares? Like, there's always going to be
us to own it.
Exactly, but there's always going to be stuff ups, and it's not going to go perfectly. And this is a huge
and you've got to be
transition.
prepared.
Yeah,
this is the other thing.
sure.
A lot of people weren't prepared.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, it'll be just like the CEC." Well, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's totally different. It's totally different. I think I mentioned it in a couple of episodes ago with Jess. So the main thing I can see, which is the difference, is you've got people who are sort of pulling the strings or influencing at SAA who are engaged in our small scale industry.
Yeah.
And they are all part of it, and they understand the pressures and all the things that are happening. So they're right in amongst it. If you can compare it to the CEC have got people in those positions that don't run those businesses.
They've never worked it.
No, they haven't. And
it was no disrespect.
It's no
to
disrespect
them.
at all.
It was just the way it was.
It's the way it was. Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited. We've had a new CEO start.
Yep.
And
Is that right?
Yeah, I think she will be amazing. I'm not sure if I can. Well, it'd have to be public, but let's check that before this goes to air.
I didn't know about that, so there you go.
Yeah.
I knew you were looking for someone.
Yeah.
I knew you were looking for someone.
No, she started 2 weeks ago, and I am super excited to see her come on board. Like already in her first week, she's had an impact.
Great.
And so, so that gives me great hope. And knowing what we've got, coming in from the sides, the other things that we want to do and stuff.
Yep.
I think in 12 months' time we'll be sitting in a different position, and then from 12 months' time after that we'll be in a completely different position again. And I think it will be a very, very strong organisation that will be doing amazing things for our industry.
Perfect. Oh, all right. That's a few things, a few bombs there. Let's see.
It's just give us a chance.
Yeah, it's great. Really good. Oh, all right. We're gonna go to our first break in a minute. Geez, that's flown. We're already half an hour in.
Yeah, I know, Pat. Honestly, let's face it. We could sit here and have 3 meals across the whole entire day and still not be finished.
I know. I'd probably only need about an hour and a half to 2 hours to bang on about mantra inspections. That's probably all I'll need.
That's. No, I think we'd need longer. I think we could do a whole day on that.
Let's do a double episode, maybe.
We'll have one on mandatory and the next one on inspections.
All right. Okay. So, let's go to our first break. Been a really interesting start to the show. Want to now cut to some messages from our sponsors at Radio Karam. So you got any comments about the ads before we go, Bobby?
I'd be really keen. I was actually hoping that you and Jess might have spent your day recording some of those IGA ads, please. Let's redo them.
Look, I'm not going to rule it out. I'll talk to Jess about that, and I'll speak to the people at Radio Karam if they want us to. I'll tell you what, I won't rule it out, but because that would be quite funny.
You and Jess would be amazing at that. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll talk to Jess about that.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thanks again to our sponsors at Radio Karam for everything you do, for all your ads you put on, and all the support you do, you demonstrate in the community for everyone. It's a beautiful community we have here at Karam with everything, and I know a lot of the sponsors are quite engaged with a lot of the different community groups, and Radio Karam is one of them. So thank you very much for everything you do. We'll hear from you now, and we'll be back in just a few moments. All right, and we're back now from our ad break. Thank you very much to our sponsors from Radio Karam and everything you do. Much appreciated, and I'm sure we'll hear from you later on in the program. So, Bobby, we've had a bit of a chat about some intros. Now, I think this is the first time I've done this podcast where I didn't even really get through all of the intros until the first ad break. Normally, we're talking about something else by now. And we didn't really... Well, I think we're kind of at the end of the intro now, I think. We covered all the stuff. All the things you did, and it's been, we're already this far in. So I'm interested to hear a little bit about. So you're doing all the stuff you do, like with the wires. Mm-hmm. You're looking at making workplaces and the industry a safer place for women. Do you think it's a safer place now than it was when you entered the industry?
Oh,
however
absolutely.
long ago that was. When did you go? When did you come in the industry? Was it
17 years ago? So 2006.
Yeah, right.
So nearly 18 years ago that I started in the industry. So so much has changed.
Yeah.
Like there's actually women in the industry now.
Yeah. Hey, actually, a good point here. There was always this 1% of accredited installers were female. That was what it was in 2018. Have we moved on that? Do you know?
It's about 2%.
About 2%. At least it's doubled. That's something.
Yeah, that's right. 100% increase.
Yeah, look at it that way. I think there's probably more at the moment. There's at least more designers coming through. Is that sounds like a thing?
That's where our really big fast change will occur. Is now that we've opened up those training capacities and abilities for women within the industry or non-trade qualified people, because there's a lot of awesome non-trade qualified people within this industry that are perfectly capable of designing systems and passionate about it and doing it the right way, and they actually do it in conjunction with the installer and all that sort of stuff. So why not? And I think for me, like I sat on the round tables when we were talking about all of this with the training organisations and government and everything, and I said we really just need to scratch it back to basics. What are the problems that we're experiencing in our industry? And basically it goes right back to marketing. That's where the problems start.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? The marketing?
Well, you just get all your dodgies that are your clickbait style ads that have, they're your sales, your lead generators and stuff that have absolutely no interest in what actually ends up on somebody's roof.
Sure.
All they care about is collecting as many leads as possible and then selling them off.
Yep.
So there's no responsibility against those people, and that's where a lot of our problems stem from. But the other thing was that, you have sales companies out there and they're selling systems, and then the installer gets out to site and it's like, well, that's not going to fit there. Yeah. That's not going to work there. How the hell are we meant to fit 24 panels on, there's only space for 16. Who knows? But all these problems were happening. It was like, well, we know what the problems are, so let's address the root causes. And the root cause was around, some salespeople that were just selling and with no design background at all. So at least now, by opening that up, there's the opportunity there for anybody, and the quality outfits will do it first. Yeah. To move into the space of qualifying salespeople into design.
Yeah, right. You know what? I actually thought you were going off on a tangent then, and then you brought it back. really well. I know because I thought you're going. We're talking about women in the industry here, and then you're like, oh yeah, marketing, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a good point. What about the women? And then you brought it back. I didn't see where you were going there, but that's really.
I do tend to go off on tangents. You know that.
You actually haven't. So I didn't think. Yeah. I'd never thought of it that way. Yep. I'd never thought of it that way. That we've got issues with marketing companies and all those high volume leads, all that sort of stuff. No one's checking the system. That's right. So, but now if you've got more accredited people that are capable of, well, not just necessarily capable, but actually accredited to do this work, you can now. You're opening the market up to doing better things because that workforce is now available.
Yeah. And we trained. Have a lot of women that are sitting in positions like that that have always wanted to do the technical stuff but haven't been allowed to because a prerequisite was you had to be an electrician.
Yeah.
So by removing that barrier, it opens up the pathways for more women into that space. So, you know, there's a lot of mature age women in our industry, and I say mature age, you know, they're past your straight out of high school, straight into apprenticeship age. So they're early 20s onwards.
Yeah.
Where, you know, an apprenticeship may not be the pathway that they want to take. It may no longer be an option.
Good point.
But they still have technical minds or they still love learning and all the sciencey stuff behind it.
Yeah.
So let them do it.
Yeah.
Design and everything's a perfect pathway.
What do you reckon? What was behind that? Like, where was the pathways having to the prerequisite being an electrician? Was that the ETU? You reckon? I don't know. I'm not sure.
They would have had a hand in it.
They probably would have.
There's a whole lot of I call them dinosaurs. The old electricians that don't want to. No, you can't do that role. You've got to be an electrician. You're not an electrician. You can't do that. There was a lot of them in the past, and slowly we've had generational change.
Yeah.
The industry is starting to mature now, so. We've gone past that handful of people that are doing it, and it's starting to open up. And the other thing is, like, government policies changed too. You know, we've now got renewable energy targets. We've had skills shortages, all of these things.
Yeah.
So by taking down these barriers, it then helps us address them as well. Plus the other issues around quality.
Is there a way, you reckon? This is something I've wanted from the industry. I identified this as being something probably in the first 6 months of being in the industry back in 2009. So we regulate the designer and the installation, right? Now it's through SAA, it was through the CEC. All that's regulated by an accredited person, right? So they've got something that they can hold on to and can be taken away from them and they need to get. We have never looked to regulate the sales side of things, right? And this is something that we all talk about in the industry because it's like, oh, I'm doing the right thing, but you've got these sales companies out there who are maybe not, and they're still getting away with it. They're getting all these sales, and I'm left doing this. So I understand that argument. How do you change that? Do you reckon, like, I don't know, is it a change in legislation maybe once the RET finishes in 2030? Or do you reckon it's, I don't know, state governments jumping in and saying, well, you need someone selling this system who's at least, I don't know, an REC or I don't know, whatever it is. Like,
yeah, there's been a lot of talk around that.
Yeah.
That, you know, make it REC minimum.
Yeah.
But there's
a hard one, isn't it?
There's a lot of, you know, yeah, it's an interesting conversation to have. There's so many so many things that can impact on the industry. So we need to have those conversations.
Yeah.
It's actually a conversation for a couple of beers and pizza outside the Yak Pub. That's where a group of us used to go to solve the problems of the world when we were working on a project, on our first microgrid style projects and stuff in Yak. We used to solve the problems of the world.
That sounds good.
But there was a pathway there. What was I going to say? You know, Solar Vic have done some stuff around advertising and minimum requirements, and
there's some change there, I think, which is really good. We'll get into a couple of those little things at the moment, right? But I mean, for starters, they've made it so you had to be Proof Solar Retailer, NetCC, And that's all good, right? But
net CC is another thing.
Yeah.
Like if net CC is to grow into what its potential is,
yeah,
it could be the solution that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think
we don't know.
What's been hard with the net CC that a lot of people in the especially installers or in smaller companies don't quite understand is to get if you're in with the net CC, what do you call it? Approved? Are you? What are you? You're a whatever it is.
Signatory.
Signatory. There we go. That's the word. If you're a signatory to the net CC, there's no real technical capabilities that are required in that. It's more of a consumer law type setup and making sure you're following Australian consumer law and their code of conduct, which is basically follows Australian consumer law. So they might still sell systems where they can't fit panels on a roof or whatever and they still might be abiding by the net CC. So there's certain things the net CC does.
But if you have them together,
for sure,
requirements, because they can grow that.
Yeah,
they can change that. They can put a clause in their code of conduct that in order to sell, you have to be an accredited designer.
Oh, imagine that.
You know,
imagine that. Is it that easy?
Like that.
If it's that easy, like we got to, it's got to happen then. Like something like that needs to happen because it's.
I think though we have to allow space for that time to catch up.
Yeah,
because that accreditation's only become available in the last 12 months.
Yeah, that's right. And we don't have the workforce yet.
We've got to have the ability to retrain the workforce. So maybe maybe that might be a change that we see in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
Who knows? Once the capacity's there within the industry.
For sure.
And the training and everything's there. But the other thing we probably need to see is a deadline put into that because we all know that a lot of people won't do it unless there's a deadline involved.
Push it out. Push it out as long as possible.
Yeah.
So let's I don't want to finish on the women's stuff, but let's just go to you're talking about state governments have done different things. I think actually, I know you're passionate about Awise and that sort of stuff. Probably coming in a close second would be door knockers. About your passion, about how you. So how do you feel?
Call it passion and call that a pet hate.
Well, how do you feel about So you're just at home in Wodonga and you get a backpacker or something knock on your door going, oh, I can sell you solar. Here we go, 6.6 for $500. And we'll install it tomorrow. Here we go. Just sign here. Oh, actually, not 500. Maybe it's 13 grand. Whatever. I don't know what they do.
Yeah,
these
that's
days.
right. It's either really rock bottom or incredibly expensive. There's no in between.
Yeah. So what's the go? What's the go with that? Like, so Solar Vic have, I think, I know they got their notice to market, which is actually, it's already in, isn't it? It's in this last notice to market.
It's been in for years.
It's been in for years,
but they just, they update it every year.
Yeah. So now no door knockers, yeah? That's right. It's been like that for a while.
And it's not just Solar Vic anymore. So it's been Solar Vic for the last 18 months, I think. Possibly even 2 years. And now it's under the VEU program as well. There's no door knockers allowed under the VEU program, which is fantastic. Like that, to me, is a massive win. And it's really funny because when I got on the ICRG with Solar Vic, I had a list of things that I wanted to achieve, and one of them was ban door knocking. So it was the day that happened. Like, oh my God, I celebrated, and Solar Vic I celebrated because they were sitting there laughing at me. So to see that, which has been the cause of so many consumer issues that we've seen, to see that change come about has been fantastic because that, in the end, it's not going to fix all the problems, but it's going to fix a whole bunch of the problems, which is fabulous. So to get rid of them, mate, I'm more than happy to sit up my deck chair with an esky and sit there and watch the door knockers get in their cars and leave town. Oh,
let's drill into this. I want to know, what is it about them? Like, okay, we've got consumer complaints, right?
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of stuff. I could reel them off, right? What is it about door knockers that pisses you off so much? Did they come to your door one day when you were just about to, I don't know, you had something on the barbecue or whatever, and then you made you burn something, or I don't know. What was it? Was there one incident, or you just can't
there's
stand
a multitude. They are so dumb. Like, yes, I've had them knock on my door, but in order to knock on my door, they have to walk past my solar inverter. and I open the door and I'm standing there in a work uniform that says Solar Integrity. I'm like, oh my God, can you not read the room? But also there's been personal stories as well.
Yeah, sure.
I've seen they have a predatory behaviour, and that's what I cannot tolerate. I cannot tolerate predatory behaviour on anybody, particularly those that are vulnerable. And that's who they target, and that's what I can't tolerate.
So they target the elderly, target the
people with disabilities.
Maybe
lonely,
single parents that are got kids young. I
had a story where they were a family friend and they hadn't bought their system through us. They bought it through a door knocker, and I got a phone call from the family friend's sister and they were at their absolute wits' end. They're like, we don't know what to do anymore, Bobbi. What can we do? They installed the solar system. It's not working properly. Blah 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 blah. So I sat down and I went with them. Didn't charge them anything. Did it all out of no cost. Sat down, worked it out. Meter had never been changed. That usual old story. The salesperson had knocked on the door, done the sale, then came back 2 days later and said, "I need money for my family. I need more money for my family." They kept coming back to that elderly gentleman who had a brain acquired injury. So he had a number of factors that made him incredibly vulnerable.
How sad.
They kept coming back and he kept handing over cash. Anyway, that ended up going through court. And the judge turned around and said, you need to repay every cent to that man that he has paid you, and you are not allowed to set foot on his property to repossess anything. So we helped him with the paperwork, got his system up and running properly, all of those sorts of things. So he ended up with a system that was fine. But it's that sort of bullshit that I cannot tolerate. This poor elderly gentleman that I'd known my whole entire life being taken advantage of, and it's like, no, I hate that. And that's one of the things that I stand up for in everything that I do. That's why I fought so hard with Solar Victoria, with everything, when that bad stuff was happening with that a few years ago. That's why I become vocal, is because I cannot tolerate people being treated poorly or seen to be disadvantaged. I want a level playing field and a fair playing field for everyone.
Well, that there, ladies and gentlemen, is what pisses Bobbi off about door knockers. I got it out of you.
Did you change
there you go.
Did you see the tone change in my voice? And I leant into the microphone.
Absolutely. Well, no wonder your business is called Solar Integrity.
Yeah, that's a reason for it.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's really nice. Okay. I mean, it's a shit story.
Yeah.
But, it sounds like possibly a good outcome, hopefully. I don't know. But, at least someone got involved and, yeah. Okay. So if you're backpacking in Australia and you want to making a quid doing door knocking, go do something. Go work on a solar farm or...
Go back to selling Bibles.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, God.
All right. Oh, cool. All right. Oh, let's go a couple of steps back where we were. Now, we were talking about safe spaces for women in the industry, and you were saying there were no women in the industry back in, when you started in the industry, and
they existed. They were just invisible.
Yeah, they were invisible. What would you say to, let's say, I don't know, possibly a young female who's thinking about getting into solar, maybe getting into a trade? What do you reckon? What advice would you give them about jumping in? Like, do you reckon it's a good idea, good career move?
Go for it. Yeah. The only thing is, and like at the moment we're going out and we've got a WISE has got a program called Solar in Schools. And we're going out and presenting to high school students about seeing careers in renewables as a first choice. Because we know that the majority of people have fallen into this industry, particularly women. It's not necessarily career choice, and that's what we want to change. But yeah, for a young female that's interested in joining the industry, and particularly from a trade perspective, I would encourage them to have conversations, reach out, connect with a WISE. There's a number of female installers that are within our community and female apprentices that are within our community that be more than willing to have a conversation with them. But yeah, having conversations, do your research, because trust me, the most important thing for a young female entering this space, particularly in a male-populated area, is workplace culture. You know, you want to go to a place that is going to be supportive. There are going to be issues. And that, you know, issues happen with blokes. Like, you know, it's nothing that has absolutely nothing to do with gender. There's always issues, you know. We've all got personal stuff that can impact us at work. There's, you know, a whole plethora of things that can occur. But what you want is a workplace culture where they're supportive, and you can also be yourself. And we try and drill into our staff that at the end of the day, you know, there's nobody will ever judge you for wanting to put a harness on whilst you're on a roof, even if you've got edge protection installed. If you don't feel safe, you put your harness on. There is absolutely zero judgment there.
Yeah, that's it. So it shouldn't be. Yeah, they shouldn't be looking to.
No, that's exactly right. So so it's really about finding people, have quality conversations, go and do work experience with somebody. That is
good advice.
Oh, that is the most valuable thing that you can do, and that's what I'm telling all these students that we're going out to talk to. I'm like, you get the opportunity now to do multiple work experiences, not just one. So if you want to be a tradie, go and try plumbing, go and try carpentry, go and try electrical, get a bit of a taste for it. Or if you are hell-bent that you want to be an electrician or a solar installer or something, don't just go to one workplace and do it. Go to 3 different workplaces that do exactly the same thing, because that's where you will learn the difference about workplace culture, and that's what matters most.
Really good advice there. That's definitely something. Workplace culture is such a huge thing. And it's not. It's the trade businesses as well, and not just trade businesses. The ones who do have females on site, like I know a few who do it really, really well. And I've also spoken to some females who feel like they've been, you know, I don't know, it's back in the 1970s or something like that when they go out to work, and they still feel that way. So it's still out there. There's still education that needs to be done.
There's a lot. Like it is. What we are trying to do is generational shift. It's not something that's going to happen in 2 years' time. It's, you know, even in 5 years' time. We were talking this morning over breakfast about women's cricket. You know, 35 years. It's probably taken, because of when I was growing up, we had a couple of young females that played cricket in the boys' teams when I was growing up. They were the first ones in Yakandanda to have done that. But you're now saying that your local team has a female and a male team at every age level. Yeah,
that's in the footy. In the footy, they actually have every age group in the juniors has got a male and a female team. I think the girls have got 1.5 teams. They've merged with another local club to get a second team up. That's really good.
It's not something that can happen overnight. This is something, and this is where, you know, you said before, we had 1% of female installers. Now we're at 2%. That's 100% increase. That's great. Let's celebrate that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and then once we get to 5%, that'll be another celebration. So this is going to take time. Will we ever get to 50-50? Who knows?
Look, I don't know.
We might not. But
in the trade, we might not.
It will be what it will be. But what we need to do is break down the barriers so that it can be.
Yeah, for sure. Most definitely.
And I talk to my staff about different things about this sort of stuff as well. And there's been incentives to get women into the industry, and some of the guys are like, well, why does she get that? Why don't I get that? And all that sort of stuff. So, and I can understand there's a little bit of jealousy there, and they don't see that as being fair, but they don't understand the whys or the what fors behind that. And I sat back and I talked to my staff about male nurses.
Yeah. We've mentioned male nurses on this show before, definitely.
So I had a cousin who was a male nurse, and this is, oh my God, this is 40 years ago that he went into nursing.
Yep.
So, and that was really unusual. And even now, we still don't have a whole lot of male nurses.
Yep.
But blokes know that they can be if they want to be.
For sure.
And it's now encouraged, or it's now accepted. There's no issues around that. And that's the exact same position we need to get in with women in trades.
I just want, at the end of the day, I just want people to be able to be themselves.
Just do what makes you happy.
And then people can accept that. That's all. That's all I want. I just want people to be able to be
Yeah.
themselves.
And that's the thing. Like, what impact does it have on my life, what you want to do for a living?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for me, that's just a respect thing. I think like you need to respect other people's decisions and whatever their beliefs or whatever it is.
And support them. If that is what they want to do, like, my son's off studying acting.
Yeah.
How many people go and study acting that actually get into acting and doing it?
Yeah.
But he's got to go and explore that. There's so many skills that he's learning through his acting course that will be transferable into whatever he ends up doing. If he ends up being, an actor and ends up on the red carpet and there's a Hemsworth or something involved, then absolutely I'll be on his arm to walk down that red carpet with him and support him. But if he ends up, and I always said with my children growing up, my role as a parent was to give them the best education I could to allow them to have choices. I don't care whether they want to be a lawyer or a doctor or a surgeon or a garbage truck driver. I don't care. My role has been to ensure that they have the ability to have choice.
Perfect. Very supportive.
Yeah.
That's good. No, that's what it should be. I agree. And that's how people will be happier if they're doing what they love.
That's right.
And being supported.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just while we're on this too, you mentioned this, quick shout out to the Carrum Cricket Club who put together a women's team, and I can't believe how much momentum it has got. It was almost, look, I won't say it was a bit of a joke at first, but even a few of the either the junior mums or the wives and girlfriends of the current players were a bit like, oh, we'll get a team together, and a few had a bit of a laugh about it.
Do a bit of a giggle, we'll just have some fun.
Yeah, exactly. And then they've done really well with a bit of social media, getting a bit of momentum with it. Even the guys' teams are now talking about it in their chats about how engaged their wives are and that sort of stuff.
Have a look at the support that the female soccer team gets. The
That's
Matildas.
Right. For sure.
They sell out.
That's right.
How many blokes go and watch that now because they actually prefer watching that than what they do the men's?
Yeah.
And cricket isn't that much different.
No, that's right.
So
well, on the Matildas, I'd much rather watch the Matildas because they also seem to be, I don't know, like I don't really watch the Socceroos that much at all, but they all seem to be a bit like bland and that sort of stuff. And the Matildas have got like heaps of personality. Oh, don't they? Aren't they great?
That's it.
They get out there.
It's great fun.
Yeah.
But not just that. I think the fan base.
Yeah.
The fan base between the Socceroos and the Matildas is completely different.
Yeah, for sure.
And the feeling that you get by watching a Matildas game from the fans is completely different.
It is. Most definitely.
And it's much more fun. Like it looks way more fun than going setting off flares or whatever else you want to do, or
that's right.
Rip a stand apart or something like that. No thanks.
That's right. Anyway, I'll just quickly get back to the cricket club. Yeah.
What are we here talking about?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I know. Exactly. So my wife Jo had sort of got asked to go to the first training session. They did a training session at Jubilee Park in Frankston last week. And she sort of told me, she told you this story this morning for breakfast. She was on the way there. She was saying to me in the car, going, "Oh look, I don't know if I'm going to play. I don't mind cricket. She doesn't mind cricket at all.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, well, she actually, I watch it in the summertime, and she keeps it on, and it's all good. It's not an issue in our house. And then she's like, "Oh look, I'm sort of made my mind up. I don't think I'm really going to do it. I'll turn up and I'll just see what happens." And then she started bowling, and she's like bowling them all over the place going, "Oh, this is no good. This is no good." Anyway, she's whacked some pads on and gone down there with the bat and just started like smacking them everywhere. And I got a couple of videos of it. I won't put them on the socials, but anyway.
Get her permission first.
Yeah. I got a couple of videos of her doing it, and she came out of there going, "Wow, that was so much fun." And she's going, "I don't want to bowl anymore. I just want to bat." And anyway, they had another session. I was away this week. They had another session down there this week. So they've trained 2 weeks in a row in the middle of winter. And I don't know when the next one is, if it's next week or whatever, but it's really got some momentum with the club and the community and getting everyone involved. And I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing.
How many male teams are training?
Not many. We're not training
in June or July.
We're not training yet.
None.
No.
So the dedication
for sure
is huge. But Jo also mentioned she's got a softball background. That will absolutely be helping her smash those balls out of the park.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. We're gonna have to head down to grab her some gear. It's gonna be good. She's gonna pick a bat out. Oh no! Normally it's me sitting in the house knocking it in.
Sponsorship. You should get a big Southwell sticker for her bat. You know, she can be the first sponsored.
We've spoken about sponsorship because they're actually looking for sponsors at the moment, and we're like, "Oh, should we do this?" And we're like, "I don't know. It's not." She doesn't want the logo on the top or anything like that. Anyway, that's another question.
We sponsor cricket and footy back home.
Do you really?
Yeah. Absolutely. Small towns.
Yeah,
that's what we're built on and that's what our sporting clubs are built on is sponsorship from businesses.
Yeah.
So we've got our names on a few different things.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of companies there that. I don't know what that is. It's the phone for the radio station ringing. Anyway.
Oh, we're not live, are we?
No, we're not. Don't think so. Hope not. Anyway, all right. Well, that's probably a good time to go to our second ad break. So we will go again to sponsors from Radio Caram as we're speaking about community sponsorship, and there's a few other things we want to talk about before we wrap up. We'll get into those and plenty more coming right up. All right. I didn't ask you your question at the start because I didn't do my run sheet anyway. So, Bobbi, superhero, solar superhero or solar sidekick, where are you?
100% sidekick.
Whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
No, but hear this out because together, there's nothing that I could have done in this industry by myself.
Yeah.
There's
but that doesn't make you
and it also doesn't mean that I've led it either. We've come together as a collective hero. That's the difference, and that's one of the things with a WISE is that we understand we have a rule. Don't ever say sorry.
Yep.
Because life happens, and we understand that. But the other thing is we have to allow each other to dip in and dip out as we need to because we have different things happening, and that's what's happened. At some stage, all of us have dipped out and other people have had to come in and pick up the pieces and keep things moving forward. And, it's been tough. I'm not going to lie. There's been times where it's been really tough, but there's been times where that has absolutely been needed. And so as a collective, we are each other's sidekicks.
Yeah.
And as a collective, that's when we can all come together and we can be superheroes. The same as, the IRG, that group of people there. I don't think any one person can be a superhero by themselves.
No, I agree. They can't be a superhero by themselves. But if you look, every good superhero has got good sidekicks. Sorry, that's bullshit, Bobbi. You're a superhero. I'm sorry.
No, I'll argue that one. I don't want to be a superhero.
No, well,
maybe it's just because I'm vocal.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I've been putting the pressure on a bit now lately because when I ask that question...
Yeah, you just want somebody to come out and claim it straight up.
Yeah, for sure. I do. And Jess was pretty good.
I thought Jess was pretty good.
I want to be a superhero. I thought that's pretty good. Did you hear
she has the ability.
Yeah. Well, did you hear the crap that Nigel spoke up in Brisbane? So
no.
When I was up in Brisbane, I walked around with a roving mic and I asked him, "Are you a superhero or a psychic?" He's like, "Oh no, definitely a psychic." I was only a few episodes in. I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, Nigel, sure." And in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, "Bullshit, Nigel, you whatever."
Nigel is a hero in
so
so many aspects. Like he is an absolute hero to a WISE.
Yeah.
He has been a champion.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I will touch on very quickly because I know we are so out of time.
Okay. No, it's okay.
Like I said, we could have had 3 meals here today. Nigel has been so incredibly supportive of a WISE and everything that we've been doing from the absolute get-go.
Yep.
We know that we want to make change. We want to break down barriers for women. But in order to do that, we have to have amazing men that are willing, acceptable, accepting, and, they know they're in a safe place where they can ask questions as well, because as we make this transition, there's going to be some tough times. People are going to stuff up. We all stuff up. I stuff up. You stuff up. It's human nature. But if we have those supportive mechanisms in place, we can do better. That's all it's about, is doing better.
Yep.
And in order for us to break down the barriers and do better, we need our amazing men. And we have some cracking men, like our Recharge Your Spark event that happens just before All Energy.
Let's see where this is going.
I reckon that's a 60-40 split.
Yeah, I reckon it's... Oh, yeah, probably is.
It's not far off.
There's
it
more
might
women.
be
There's definitely
70-30,
definitely more
pretty
women,
close.
but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there guys are engaged too.
The guys
and they're all,
love it.
Yeah, that's right.
Until this year's lineup. This year's lineup is a cracker.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's going to be different. It's going to be very different to the previous ones.
Any singing?
We can probably work you into the lunch break.
No, you don't have to. No, don't work me into it. No, that's not what I mean. That's
self-promotion. No, we need to create a name for you and Jess as a duet. I was really hoping to have heard Islands in the Stream.
Oh, is that what? Were you the one who said that? You said,
it was
you
me.
did say that. Oh, yeah. I did. We did actually. I did consider. I was like, well, maybe we should do a duet.
Or what was the one that Huey Lewis and Gwyneth Paltrow did together?
I'll think of it in a minute. I know the one. What is it now? Huey Lewis.
It's him.
I know. Anyway, we'll think of it before the end of the show.
So we need. If we want to make change, it's the blokes that are going to make the change.
Yeah.
But they need to know that they can make that change with us in support.
Yeah.
And we need to know that we can do things with you in support. So it's just that, working together stuff, collaborative, collegially, all, everything. It just works better, like Matt said.
Yeah.
To know that you've got people in the industry that you can call on without judgment.
Yeah, for sure.
There's
so many people
it's tough.
Yeah, like Matt. I probably only speak to Matt. I don't know, once every 3 to 6 months, maybe something like that. It's not very often. Yeah, not that often. I know though. I can speak openly and freely with him, and he's supportive, and
he's one of the best.
Yeah, he's great. He'll ring me up he'll be like, I've got some defect. I don't know if it's right or not. He always rings me up and says, would you defect this and what? And then we have a conversation about it. And then we're like, oh, we should speak more often. I'm like, yeah, we should. And we don't.
Yeah. You two doing conversation about defects.
Yeah. All right, we'll do it.
Will be like, was it yours and Vaughn's?
Vaughan, yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah.
I shared that with all our staff.
Yeah, we've got another one coming up soon.
And
I'm not going to give it away.
Like your training program.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Oh, thank you. That's great to hear. It's pretty basic stuff, but I think it's a lot of those fundamental. Yeah, I know those fundamental things are the things that I see that people aren't getting quite right.
Well, the other thing is, if we want to create base, we want to improve quality.
Yep.
We've got to get our base right first.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going back to those basics and back to the fundamentals to get them right that you can then build on, because once everybody's at that same basic level, then you can move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know everybody bags it out, but Solar Vic's working in the solar industry training, that was so frustrating for people that working safely in solar.
Yeah.
That was really frustrating for anybody who's been working in solar for a long time.
They're like, I already know what a freaking end clamp is. I know, I know what a ladder is. I know.
That's right. But that's what that was for.
Yeah.
It was creating that basic level
Everyone
of
needs to have
knowledge.
I agree.
That then can be built on.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's doing great things.
Yeah.
Solar Vic. We've still got a lot to do in this industry, don't we? We've got long way to go. We've come so far and we've got a long way to go.
But that's what I love.
Yeah.
We're at the cutting edge of technology. What we are doing is we are making change to the largest machine in the world.
Yeah.
Our electricity network, the NEM, is the largest machine in the world.
Yep.
And we are changing that.
We are.
So I don't think Australians, and particularly electricians or solar installers within, we don't understand the impact that we're actually having. And eyes are on us from all across the world to see how we do this renewable energy transition.
Yep.
And we're leading the way. We're doing really well.
Well, keep it up, everyone, because I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want a nuclear reactor out in Traralgon or Liddell or whatever it is. I don't want trucks of nuclear reactive waste on the roads going to wherever they are. I don't want another 10 to 20 years of expensive power bills because coal's being propped up for another 20 years or whatever.
Right. Imagine if, people say, stop funding solar, stop funding renewables, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hang on a minute. Do we want to work out how long we've been funding the fossil fuel industry? Let's transfer those funds across to renewables. By the way, while we're at it, let's actually tax some of those big organisations that don't get taxed.
Yep.
Let's do that fairly, put all that in, and our energy transition will be fixed like that.
I know, imagine that.
How good. Anyway.
All right. Well, we're gonna
our pie in the sky
for sure. Well,
we don't rely on big sponsorship like they do.
No, we don't. We just rely on the lovely sponsors from Radio Caram.
Yes, well done. And community radio, fantastic. What a great space for everybody.
Yeah.
It's so inclusive.
It's great.
It's fantastic.
So much better than I thought it might have been. I didn't really know much about it. Yeah. Getting involved now, I love it. It's so much fun. All right, we're going to wrap up now. We're going to go into our closing thoughts. Before I do that, I always mention next week's show and then give away nothing. I just told you what it's going to be about. Do you reckon this will be an interesting show?
I reckon it's going to be a cracker. For anybody who's been in the industry for over 10 years, I reckon it's going to be a cracker. Yeah. And for anybody who's been in the industry under 10 years, you're going to learn a few things.
It's going to open a few people's eyes, I reckon.
I'd actually like the unedited version, thanks.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be, looking forward to it. Going to have multiple guests in. That's the plan anyway. People could pull out last minute. Who knows? I don't know. We're gonna.
That's how risky it is.
Yeah, it is.
It is high risk.
It is. So just before we wrap up as well, I'd mentioned in a couple of episodes about some things changing a little bit with the mandatory inspections. We almost got through without talking about mandatory inspections.
Yeah, how did we do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have we got another hour?
I'll need a bit more than that. I've been in some discussions and some contact with the ESO from Queensland. So they've sort of they've been in contact with me. So they've seen or they've heard maybe some of the things I've spoken about, and they've responded to me reaching out to them. There's been a few things happen with that, and I have invited them to come on. I was hoping for someone to be on today. So they were invited and they were not able to have someone, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's, these things happen and that's the way it goes.
Slow moving beast sometimes.
Yeah, it is. I really hope it doesn't though stop I feel like I'm getting a little bit of momentum with it. Everyone's asking me about mandatory inspections and, it's a change we know we all need to make. So I'm hoping that there is something happens with that and at least we can have, ESO come out and discuss what their thoughts are on it or what they're doing because we don't know.
Well, not just that.
Yeah.
I think industry is really interested from hearing those organisations and hearing from them.
Definitely.
So, but not in a lectured space, in a conversational.
I know. I'd love to be a conversational environment.
Style. That's what we want to hear. They're human.
Yeah.
We know they're human.
I don't want to sit here and barrel them.
Let's have a chat.
I don't want to barrel them and just corner them and say, you guys are doing the wrong thing. I want to hear their point of view. Definitely want to question them and learn from them some certain things, but it's
if you ask those pressing questions and they have responses, then people can have a level of understanding. That's what it's about. And often that will alleviate a lot of the concerns.
For sure. All right. Well, we're just going to go into closing comments because I think the next show is about to come in.
Yeah, no, sorry.
We're taking the studio on the door yet. I don't know, not sure yet. Oh, you've got any closing remarks, Bobby? I want to say thanks for you coming in for starters, but you got any closing remarks for the listeners before we wrap up?
For me, I know I said it during Jess's podcast, the phone call that I made into that. Thank you, Pat. I think thank you for everything that you have done for this industry from the get-go. I've known you for, I don't know how many years now, a number of years.
8 years, something.
And you have done amazing work around this industry, around improving quality and levels of installations and communication between peak industry bodies and industry. You have absolutely been that bridge. And this podcast and your training videos are just another bridge for industry to join in there. But this podcast, I think, has the potential to be your absolute shining light, because you have brought in some amazing people, many that I've not known or don't know, but hearing their stories, it's so interesting to hear people's journeys and everything, and not just that, there's, you know, you can relate to their stories and everything, but you are making that happen. You're bringing that to the fore, and I love the diversity that you have brought into this. There's nobody doing diversity like Pat Southwell.
Oh, wow. Almost made me cry. Thank you, Bobbi. That's lovely. No,
you know I love you.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. That's so nice to hear. That's what I'm trying to do, and yeah, it's good to hear.
And
that,
it's all genuine. Everything,
is.
Yours is 100% genuine.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. That's lovely. That's really beautiful words, and yeah, trying to make a difference with what we're doing, and
you are.
Yeah. No.
You absolutely are.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
You are a Subi.
Oh wow! Thank you. Thank you. That's really nice words. That's very. I don't know, a bit overwhelming hearing that, to be honest.
Needs to be said.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, well, I'm gonna have to stop this love in now, because I think it's Radio Rampage are going to be knocking on the door in a minute.
They'll be rampaging.
They will. All right, so thanks again for coming in, Bobbi. Thanks for making the trip down.
No worries.
Really appreciate everything you do for the industry and all the work you're doing. Absolute treasure. It's great. You're great to have in this industry, and I wish there was more people like you around.
The listeners will all be vomiting now.
Won't they?
Too much gushing.
Yeah, I know. Big loving.
Yeah.
Great to have you in the industry. Great to have you in the studio. I appreciate you making the trip, and thanks, I'm sure we'll get to do this again at some stage. I don't know how.
Well, we've got to fit in the other half of our show at some point. There's points that we missed.
Exactly.
So,
all right, cool. Well, I'm going to wrap this up now. Thanks again, everyone. Right. Thanks again, Bobbi.
No worries. And, thank you.
Till next week's be episode 13 of Solar Sidekicks. Thanks very much for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next week. Thank you.
See ya.